Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Business B.E.A.R podcast. We're so happy to have you back if you've been listening before, but let's say you're new to the program. What is the Business B.E.A.R podcast? Well, actually, it's an acronym that stands for Business Expansion, Assistance, and Retention. So our aim of this podcast is to talk to our local movers and shakers in our economy. So we talk to economic development professionals, we talk to our local business owners, and we keep you appraised of everything that's happening in the business community. But I think one of the most important parts is we talk about our businesses. We've got Jennifer Resh with us today from Moonglade Integrative, and we are so excited to talk about everything that she's got going on. It is going to blow your mind. It's an exciting episode we've got ahead, so stay tuned and keep it here with us because you're not going to want to miss a second. Before we get started, I want to let you know that this is a podcast sponsored by Garrett County Business Development. Remember, any opinions shared by the host or their guests are their own and do not reflect that of Garrett County government or Garrett County Business Development. If you're interested in having your business featured on the program, give me a call, 301-334-7281, or give me an email at cnorman@garrettcountymd.gov. That's 301-334-7281, or email cnorman@garrettcountymd.gov. All right, let's jump into the program. I have talked enough. Let's hear from you. Jennifer, how are you feeling today?
I'm doing good. Like I said, I had a few issues with technology today, but I didn't let it get me down, and I'm still going.
Again, thank you so much for coming into the studio today. Happy to talk about your business and everything Moonglade Integrative has got going on up in the Grantsville area. But before we get started in the business and exactly what it provides, can we talk a little bit about you? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you from Garrett County, new to Garrett County? What do you got?
I think that's the perfect starting point. A lot of folks ask me how I came by the name Moonglade Integrative, and I think learning about my background helps provide the insight into why I provide the services that I provide.
Okay.
So I am from Garrett County,
All right.
Deer Park and Oakland areas.
All right.
My maiden name's Phil Singer, so people may know some folks around here. And I graduated from Southern in 2002.
Okay. I am a fellow Southern grad.
Yep.
Go Rams.
That's right. So starting then, I actually was a teen mom. So I joke around a little and say I survived teen pregnancy, just different than everybody else did. But that was a huge learning experience for me, especially into the services that Garrett County offers. I encourage everyone to look onto your economic development website, because if there are people looking for jobs or looking for training opportunities, that's actually how I got started in nursing.
Wow.
Is through the Western Maryland Consortium. They trained me for my nursing assistant.
Wow.
Before that, I knew I liked science and I liked math. And I really wasn't looking into nursing, to be honest. Nursing wasn't my first pick as a career. I joke around saying I'm a jack of all trades. I do. I know a little bit about everything, science related, at least anyway. That's my real interest in life. But that's actually, Garrett County's what turned me into the successful person I am today. So from going from there, I then got employed at what was the Cuppet and Weeks Nursing Home.
Okay.
And then I've also worked at Appalachian Crossroads and seen a lot of, they're another wonderful organization providing services. And then I also got my med tech license through Cherry Hill. They sent me for that training. So another great Garrett County business has helped me on my way. And then I actually then went on to get my nursing degree from Davis and Elkins College in Elkins, West Virginia.
Wow.
So I've got to see a lot of the services available in Garrett County and also in Randolph County in West Virginia, also Tucker County and Preston County. So I have a good rounded view of our Appalachian type of culture.
Yes, absolutely.
That we have here. Not just being raised in it, but also working in it and providing for patients in that environment. And then I decided there was a big push with the hospitals about getting magnet status, which is a specialized status given to hospitals that are really focused on providing the highest level of care. And one of those incentives involved nurses getting their bachelor's degree. I had my associate's degree from D&E. And so then I went to University of Maryland and did their hybrid program as far as online work, but also clinicals locally. And that's where I got to work with Diane Friend, and we ended up doing our clinicals together, and we got to work at Western Maryland. We got to see with the Maryland Health Mobile, which doesn't come to this area anymore. It used to.
I know, it's a bummer.
So unfortunately, with funding, we don't have anymore. But I got to see their community outreach.
Yeah.
And learn a lot more about how we can access those populations that don't have acceptable levels of transportation, or even understanding of medical types of terminology, or understanding diabetes, and providing that education while I was getting my bachelor's degree. After that, I actually went and worked in Washington County in Hagerstown. That was an entire eye-opening experience, because before I was working in smaller communities. You know, as far as Garrett County and also Cumberland. We may think that Cumberland is a large community. It's not as large as.
Yeah, I think the state actually qualifies it as a town now, like a small town.
Yes.
I don't know what that makes our towns here in Garrett County,
right?
But if Cumberland is a town, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll figure out. Hovels, maybe. I don't know. We got to figure it out. But anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
So with working in Washington County, I then got more education, understanding into what some of the southern Pennsylvania residents, because we would get people from Chambersburg coming into Meredith because it was closest hospital system for them.
Yeah.
And then you also have Martinsburg. We'd have people coming from there, and then of course the Hagerstown folks. And it was my first real run-in with the tolls that alcohol and drug addiction really takes on families.
Really? Wow.
In addition to some of the poverty that they experience there, despite being in a more metropolitan type of area, where there should be jobs available and things, and I just couldn't understand why is that a problem. I had a lot of stigma. I had a lot of things that I ended up learning more about and changing my viewpoint on.
Wow.
So it was really eye-opening. So then kind of missed home, and I wanted to climb those ladders and see, because you know, I was a working bee. I still call myself a working bee. And I ended up doing some management type of positions in nursing homes. I also became a adjunctive nurse faculty. Actually, Diane Friend and I helped to, I think she was the first clinical instructor to do the clinicals at Garrett for Allegheny College in Maryland, but I think the next year I came on and helped her.
Nice.
So it was nice to then be able to develop these first and second semester nursing students and really help with their foundation and make them understand, you know, you're there for the patient, and you're also there to assist them with getting other resources, not only to help with their health, but their quality of life.
Yes.
So that was another huge learning step. And during all this time, I also was an officer in the Army Reserves in the Nurse Corps.
Wow.
So I also got to tour. You know, I would go and do trainings throughout the U.S. My unit was out of Pittsburgh, and then it was out of Fairmont, West Virginia. But I've been into California and Texas and Wisconsin, Georgia. Trying to think all the places I've been, and just getting that perspective of nationwide economic statuses and health disparities. You know, El Paso, Texas was a huge eye-opener for me for the things there compared to Northern California, compared to Fort Sam, also in Texas, and just really how cultural changes can affect how, you know, it was really good melting pot for me, because Garrett County is primarily a Caucasian white population.
Yeah.
And it was just very interesting to get out there and interact with people from different cultures, different demographics, and really learn from them.
Yeah.
So the Army built in a lot of work ethic. It also put in the thought of, you train one below you and you train one ahead of you. So that way, if somebody can't do their job, if they're out sick or something, you're not, relying on that. You're only as strong as your weakest link.
Gotcha.
Everything's a team-based approach. And I think over time, I've seen different organizations and how their management does things, and so it helped to develop my own identity as far as how I want my business to run.
Yeah.
And then going from that, I then got my nurse practitioner from Walden University. Again, my son Riley, goodness, I think I started nursing school whenever he was 3, and then I think I graduated my master's before he graduated high school.
Wow.
So from there, yeah. So
how do you keep all of that together?
That's why.
You're a mom.
Yes.
You're going through all this college training. And I think it's fair to say you've been around the block.
I've been around the block, different places. Yes. So
yeah.
If it weren't for Section 8 housing for us back in the day, whenever I got out of high school, we just needed to be our own little nuclear family. My apartment was actually over in Laughlin. So that was my first one. And then whenever they built the Overlook, I think I was one of the first or second people in the apartment that I had.
Wow.
There. And Riley actually used the Judy Center, and I cannot sing their praises. I mean, they provided a great foundation for him to be successful as he is now.
Yeah.
Because, as teen mom, but also my dad graduated high school, but he doesn't have college. My mom didn't graduate from high school. But she did go back and get her GED, I think, a couple decades ago, whenever it was required for her job. And that's the other understanding that affects a lot of patients that are suffering from particularly addiction, abuse, and dependency, is they may not have their GED. They may not have graduated from high school. And those are required for entry-level jobs.
Yeah.
And just getting them plugged into it. So understanding my own personal background and my family's background, how we have been able to make it, but it's a struggle, and understanding some of the barriers that there are to being able to succeed. And although there's help out there, there needs to be just a little bit more coming. So that's also incorporated into more of my healthcare model, but a bit more into helping them find resources and encouraging them, like, this is where I've came from.
Yeah.
And it's nothing wrong with that, but I've been able to grow with it by seeking out these resources and utilizing them and making them work for me.
Well, you've been able to show them by an example.
Right.
And what an incredible story. Thanks so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool to see how determined you've been over the years to make the best of your situation. And you've done way more than that. And it's so cool to hear how local systems were able to help support you in that effort. But those systems, while in place, they take a level of commitment from the people that are in them to reach your level. And I think it's very impressive what you've been able to achieve. So thanks so much again for sharing that story. And I think that ties right into kind of what you're doing now with Moonglade Integrative. Can you kind of give us a 101 of the business itself and how your philosophy of holistic healing and care tie into it?
So I provide basic primary care. I think there's been some confusion as to am I specialty or do I just provide basic care? It's a little bit of both. Okay. So how I like to advertise it as, it's your basic primary care, but I offer additional services based on my experiences and expertise in these areas, that you don't need to go to a specialist for addiction treatment or for obesity treatment or for hormonal evaluations. You can come see me and get a one-stop shop type of care. Meanwhile, I'm also going to incorporate other holistic things for your treatment. Now, your insurance may not cover it, but it's there for an affordable fee. Excellent. I think it's important that we understand. I do believe that healthcare is a right for everybody. We have these services. We shouldn't be letting people people just go without insurance and without care, and I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen some patients where I could tell that they needed care, and you know, I didn't I didn't charge them, or I didn't go after, they were sick, they needed to
Yeah.
be seen. And I think it's very important that our healthcare systems really cover preventative health, but also part of the primary care and other extra services
Mm-hmm.
that are in there. I also want to incorporate, I have an infrared sauna,
Okay.
and also a full light spectrum sauna. And those are used to boost your health. It's to boost your immune system. It's to help improve your mood. It also helps with weight loss. It's also using dry heat. So those that have respiratory problems, I'm like a mild asthmatic. I can't do moist heat. I can't do things with moisture in the air. So
Gotcha.
I always say I don't go on vacation in the summer because I'm an inside air conditioner girl. I can't go out in that humidity. But
I'm the same way.
right. So I'll offer those services for folks. I also will offer IV infusions their services. So if someone's going through withdrawal, or they just completed, for like example, the Grand Fondo, the cycling
Yeah.
tour that we have, athletes, they can get IV infusion after they've just had a grueling type of physical activity. Also, if you, this coming immune system, there are immune boosters with vitamins and minerals that you can get from me. And then also I give insight into dietary changes that you can, especially if you have thyroid disease. There's some dietary changes that you can make to improve your life. So those are the holistic part.
Okay.
Now, some folks have been asking me for acupuncture, cupping. That's coming. It's working.
Oh, nice.
But those are future lines of service that I'm hoping to develop and bring into the company.
Excellent.
I want to blend Western medicine with more Eastern supportive type medicines.
Gotcha.
There isn't a replacement for traditional healthcare. There's a reason why it's there. It works.
Mm-hmm.
But we still have depression. We still have anxiety. We still have substance abuse. Those are healthcare issues that pharmaceuticals aren't fixing. So we need to look into other alternative treatments that help support those medical conditions, to help resolve them.
Yeah.
I also work with psychiatric NPs to also complete that mental health part.
Excellent.
One of the focuses of my business is to reduce the barriers associated with transportation and access to care. I think statistically, we have 84% of our population is rural.
Yes.
It was eye-opening whenever I went to California and I first had to use public transportation. The bus driver, because I was like, I don't know where to put the money, do this. My first time getting on bus transportation. And I remember to this day, it obviously still sticks with me. He was like, oh, you poor little rich girl. I'm like, I ain't rich. Like, we're poor. Just because I have a car means I can actually get to work.
Yeah.
Like, that's a necessity for life.
Yes. Something that's often overlooked.
Right. So in this area, we have to understand that rural community also means that it might be a 20 or 30-minute drive, as we call it, into town. And while we're here, we might need to do that medical appointment. We need to go grocery shopping. We need to go to the pharmacy. Maybe we need to pay a bill or two. And I remember as a young mom with Riley, I literally had a list of how I was going to hit everything up while I was out in town. Because going back and forth every day isn't something that you do. What I found out in the urban areas, people go to the market every day. We can't do that. It's a once a day.
Definitely.
Once a week, maybe every 2 weeks, we're going to the store. And being able to provide telehealth services for some of these treatments is one of the focuses that I'm trying to do for my patients, is that I need to see you at least once a year, if not twice a year, in person, because there's nothing that can replace a good physical assessment. I can tell a lot about your health based on that, also your demeanor and things. But because we have working lives, because we may have transportation issues, or we just live out in God's country, telehealth is a part. In addition, it can also make it easier so you don't have to miss work. You just need to go out on your lunch break and come talk to me, or take 15 minutes out of your day and talk to me.
Yeah.
Just for a quick checkup or for a sick visit. And that needs to be embraced a bit more.
Okay.
Our health system's evolving to embrace that. Unfortunately, we learned that as a result of COVID, and I consider that the only positive with COVID is that we expanded our telehealth.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that Moonglade wants to do. So that also impacts the ability, again, for healthcare access. Using telehealth, most everyone has what I call a super smartphone.
Yeah.
So what would we do without our phones
I know.
anymore?
I'd go crazy. My brain is attached to that.
Yes, it knows everything about us. It's really everyone talks about AI. We already got it. It's our phones. They already know everything we need to know.
Yep.
But if you don't have transportation, or it's too far for you to walk to, because a lot of people walk for their resources. There's transportation is a huge issue. You can just talk to somebody on the phone. So those are some of the ways in which I want to support people that tend to have lower socioeconomic status, and getting them the treatment that they need.
It's okay. No, that's fine. I really appreciate this information because it starts telling a story of what you have available right there in Grantsville. And, you have a good location, too. You're talking about having ready access to resources and things. Your location there in the Grantsville Plaza, could you share with us your address for anyone that's interested in coming and checking out your storefront? There
is signage.
Okay.
I say that because I've had patients be like, I couldn't find you. And I was like, there's signs everywhere. But I am actually in the Grantsville Plaza. I'm actually between the vape shop and the hardware store. I'm tucked in the corner where actually Mountain Postal used to be.
Okay.
A lot of folks don't realize they moved. I know you did a podcast with them not that long ago, but people don't realize they moved.
Yep, they're down to one store.
And I promise, if somehow your package still gets delivered there, I've had a few of them, I will find you and get you your mail.
Nice.
So I have found that to be, but yes, it's a great location for folks that are able to get in, and maybe they need a meal while they're there. They can go down to Big Dogs and have the meal. If they need to maybe get their hair cut, there's also the salon there. There's the grocery shopping. There is an auto parts store. It's a great plaza where there's a lot of resources there, so you can do that trip into town without having to make multiple trips throughout the week. It can just be a one-stop shop. Now, there are those that's just not possible for, or perhaps they have issues with getting to the pharmacy or getting medications through a pharmacy. I do contract with federally approved compounding pharmacies and also specialty pharmacies that can deliver medications to you, or for example, some of the injectable testosterone or the weight loss types of injectables. Not everyone's carrying them, or there's an issue with getting them. I can actually get those shipped to your house.
Wow.
And you can administer them.
What a great service.
Yes. Well, it also depends on your insurance, or if you choose to do cash pay. Sometimes the co-pays for these medications are ridiculous.
Yes, definitely.
So I try to help patients navigate through their insurance and navigate through finding affordable payment options.
Gotcha.
I understand that there are, there are those that just don't have access to healthcare because of those barriers as well.
You're right.
So as far as the weight loss treatment that I offer, I like to do a whole comprehensive evaluation, and I use a machine. There used to be, back in the day, people held this machine. It told them their body fat percentage and their weight percentage and all that.
Yeah.
The machine I have, I call it the Terrible Awful. I do take that quote from a movie, The Help, with the whole chocolate pie thing. It's the Terrible Awful machine, because it leaves nothing. There are no lies allowed with that. It is complete
from the Terrible Awful machine.
That's right.
I get it.
Yes. It will break down. I can tell you how much of your body is fat, and it also tells you how much of that fat is obese fat.
Oh,
And
wow.
it tells you in percentage and pounds.
Oh, I never want to
Just
see
what
this
you
thing.
want to know, right? And it's amazing because the population that is obese is 35.3%. And what I like to say really with the obesity treatment is I'm really treating addiction. A lot of folks just think addiction is to drugs or things. We have an addiction to sugar. The entire U.S. does. It's just a massive addiction to sugar. And I am one of those people included in there. I'm not calling the kettle black here.
Yeah.
I'm completely involved in it. And they've actually done studies where they have given these rats heroin and sugar water. Whenever they took away the heroin, they just fought a little bit, some nipping and biting. But whenever they took the sugar away, they murdered each other.
Wow.
So
Jeez.
sugar has a higher addictive quality than even heroin.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to change viewpoints about addiction. I'm really strong on that. Being able to embrace those who are addicted to drugs and alcohol and helping them to not feel so isolated, helping them get the resources, and making, human beings weren't designed to just lay around and not do anything. Humans derive satisfaction from being, by doing things. They gain satisfaction being recognized for doing something. We are motivation based. And I think that one of the cultural changes that I hope to make is where we embrace people that have addiction, that have obesity, and understand that it's no different than someone that's still smoking or someone that is drinking alcohol. We're all in the same pot there.
Yeah.
We just need to support each other in treating this. So with the weight loss and along with the addiction, we break it down. We show exactly and come out and confront the whole picture.
That's right.
Yes.
We've got smoking cessation classes. Why don't we have a Coca-Cola cessation class?
Yes, I know. I mean, take my Pepsi away from me. I've tried.
Yeah. It's hard.
It's
very difficult.
So what I do with those is I look and see at how bad's the problem. And we're talking, I don't want you coming in and trying, like, there's no shame. I don't want you to feel like you are being put on the spot about any of these types of things you're struggling with. It's a confidential room. Let it out. I'm going to ask you about any type of binging disorders, whether it be with food or whether it be with alcohols. Or drugs. I'm going to ask if you have any type of high risk type of behaviors, particularly with substance abuse. Are you trading sex for drugs? Are you injecting? Can you just not stop injecting? Because there's treatments to actually help prevent you from getting HIV. I offer PrEP in my clinic. So if you are doing these high risk activities, you can take a preventative pill so that you don't get HIV. Thankfully, in our community, we don't have high rates of HIV, but that doesn't mean that it wouldn't increase. Unfortunately, drug use is increasing.
Yeah.
And with that will come infectious diseases. I also review and make sure that healthy and also at-risk individuals, I look at your vaccinations. I'm very big on making sure you're up to date on vaccines, particularly your hepatitis vaccines. A lot of folks don't realize that they may not have immunity to it. They may need to get revaccinated. If someone has hepatitis C and they've just been told there's no treatment for you, that's not the case with me. I worked in a federal facility where we were number one in our region for hepatitis C treatment, and that's because I was driving it.
Wow.
Whenever people just seem to think that whenever people go to prison, they just stay there. It's a catch and release program, and unfortunately, they may come in or pick up an infectious condition. They don't know they have it, and then it can be spread through the community that way.
Yeah,
so part of my focus is ensuring that our population stays healthy and gets healthier. So if someone has any type of addiction or even with alcohol, you can also get cirrhosis because of the alcohol use. It's also important that those folks also get screened for hepatitis. There's different types of it. So just putting the same thing with obesity, you can end up getting fatty liver NASH, non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, and you can end up developing liver failure from that. We don't see a whole lot, it's not on one of the top 5 health conditions with the CDC, but it is a risk with the mortality associated with obesity. So they all need to be screened for, and we need to make sure that people with substance and obesity disorders, that their liver is good, or if we need to address something. And make sure that you're vaccinated. There's a vaccine for hepatitis A and B, which hepatitis A is foodborne, but, hepatitis B as well can be transmitted. And people just need, make sure they know their status. Same thing with HIV. It's insurance approves a once in a lifetime screen for HIV and for hepatitis to see if you have been exposed, particularly the baby boomer generation. Vietnam was a spreader of Hep C. There's also, there were some blood transfusion issues, so people may not know their status. And in this community, we tend to, there's not a lot of risk compared to, say, Allegheny County or Washington County, but it does still exist. And you should have that screening. The other things that I do with kind of the addiction-based things, especially with obesity, is I will then sit down and make sure that you get an understanding of how to read food labels. It's amazing that people don't really understand what's in there. I also promote more natural eating. Processed foods is one of the worst things that we could have done to our food supply. I think starting in the 40s, we started doing that. It leads to a lot of other types of conditions. So try to get people to eat more naturally without the processed foods, and that will naturally drop your weight.
We're lucky in Garrett County. We have a large agriculture sector. It's actually responsible for somewhere around 39 million. Rather, the business does around 39 million per year. Mm-hmm. We have great programs like Garrett Growers, and so many more where you can get direct access to great farmers markets, even boxes of food delivered right to your door, where you can get these fresh vegetables and things grown naturally right here in the community, where you don't even have to leave or bring it in from somewhere else.
Yes, and that's the one of the things that I point out is I talk about the farmers market. I talk about the resources that they can get to access these. I also like to promote that people do their own gardens. We're blessed in this area that a lot of people still garden. They have access sometimes just in their backyard to growing fruits and vegetables that you may not see in more of a city-like environment or town-like environment. Or even if there's zoning where they can't grow certain things. I've even seen in some somewhere in Pennsylvania, they planted corn as a privacy fence.
Wow.
Like, that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
You don't like your neighbor, just plant some corn and leave it up. Do some sunflowers too. Right.
At least you don't have to look at them during the summer months.
Right. That's right.
Winter, a different story.
That's right. So, so with the obesity treatment, we work into identifying healthy foods. We also go over different food types, really focusing more on eating patterns. I go over like some things you should eat first, and then if you're still hungry, you could have more of the things that like kind of your carbohydrates towards the end. In addition, we also go over an exercise plan. And the thing that makes what I feel makes my business different from others is I don't push excessive physical type of activity. We start off slow. We are crawling. I want people to more focus on stretching because that's very important for stability. And then we also want to focus more on those smaller muscles, doing Pilates or even yoga first, not only as a motivator and as a mood booster, but also it strengthens those supporting muscles that then the bigger muscles depend on so that way you don't get an injury. I know many times whenever I've tried to start my own weight loss type things on my own, I always go too hard at first. I forget that what my age is. I'll be hitting a milestone birthday next month, and I don't want to talk about it. But I have to remember I'm not in my 20s and soon will not be in my 30s anymore. And I need to take that into account whenever I think I'm going to go walk 4 miles off the bat. doesn't work that way anymore.
Right.
So we end up having a very in-depth conversation, and whenever you leave, you don't have to worry about remembering all of this stuff. I write this information down. Unfortunately, we have a print off from the Terrible Awful that you can keep, showing you the black and white of the issue.
Oh man.
We also go over measurements.
Terrible.
Yes, that's right. And the reason why I do the measurements, the very nice thing about the Terrible Awful is if you are really successful but your weight's not budging, we can actually measure your muscle thickness and prove to you, especially as a motivator, that you're gaining that muscle. It's why the weight's not moving. You've
Gotcha.
actually gained maybe half an inch or an inch of muscle. I can measure it.
Yeah.
And I can also review.
Oh, that's nice.
I know. Well,
Yeah, maybe you're making progress in ways you're not thinking
you're
of.
not thinking of. So we can go back. We can use that and use it as a tool to really see how you're doing at that 3-month mark, how you're doing at that 6-month mark, and then we can go into use it for maintenance. The actual hardest part of weight loss is maintenance. The second hardest part I let people know of is you'll actually go through a withdrawal and you'll go through a depression. And we don't really hear about that in weight loss articles or anything.
I think we're seeing it come up to light a little more as people use these drugs like Ozempic. How when they're having these immediate crashes, while they drop 60 pounds, the underlying mental reason why maybe they were reaching for that sugar, that food that isn't great for you, was a coping mechanism.
Yes.
And I think we're seeing more and more of that come to light, especially because that process makes it really quick.
Yes.
And too quick in many cases. Well, what's your opinion on that?
So that's part of it. That's about, I would say, 70 to 80% of it. But your body is mean.
Okay.
And we have something called homeostasis.
All right.
We know that, let's just say we take someone, female numbers are much easier for me to remember. Let's just say a 5'7" woman should be weighing around 150 pounds. That should be their normal level. The problem is that 5'7" woman weighs 250 pounds, and her body thinks it's great. It's where they're supposed to be. They're, that's how they feel is normal. So whenever you start eating healthy, and you lose weight, you start exercising and you lose weight, your body's like, whoa, stop. Stop. You're throwing me out of whack. You're throwing me out of homeostasis. So you will literally get cravings. Your body is not nice. It will make you crave the foods that you want. You will have body aches. It's like ketosis with the keto diets. You have like a flu-like syndrome. If depending, I don't promote any specific diet other than get rid of the processed foods. I ask that you pick a diet, or I don't even want to call it a diet, but pick an eating style that you can stick to, that you like. There are people who are like, I just eat meat and taters. There are other people like, I want to eat vegetables, or I want to eat more fish. Pick something, because we can work with those.
Yeah.
But your body will actually fight against you and try to maintain that level of homeostasis. So I let people know, and also if you're dependent on that sugar rush for your mood, you're going to experience depression. Not only may you already be depressed and not realize it, but you're going to get more depressed because you're not having your Pepsi.
Oh my gosh.
So,
can't win for losing.
That's
Jeez.
right. So I let them know, like, there's a reason why people fail. Your bodies actually work against you to lose weight. And then your mind is working against you to lose weight. Plus, you already have these pre-existing issues. So I bring that to light and let them know, like, whenever you're really feeling down and it feels crappy and you want to turn into something, read this, look at it. And the other thing that we don't go cold turkey on my plans.
Okay.
We wean.
That sounds better.
And I also express to them that, it may take a couple weeks to even months to get rid of that depression, those body aches, those cravings and things. You're literally changing how your body works. And if you remember, anytime your child has went through a growth spurt, they are cranky before that growth spurt. They are just awful to deal with. And guess what? So are you. Whenever you stop eating all of these things that your body is used to. We also go over how their families can support them. And also, we do screenings for mental health at the initial visit because it's always underlying. We also do a full panel of labs. I want to see if you have insulin resistance. I want to know if perhaps you have a thyroid autoimmune disorder. It's just, yeah, your thyroid levels might be normal. But if you have positive thyroid antibodies, guess what? You can help improve some of these symptoms that you're telling me you have. And I agree you have these symptoms, but you don't have thyroid disease. You can fix that with some dietary modifications
Gotcha.
and also physical modifications. So that's where some of the holistic comes in again, an integrative type medication of viewpoints onto the treatment therapies. So you end up coming away with a piece of paper.
Okay.
Like I said, it goes over all of the measurements. I also measure so that way you know if you've lost inches in your neck or in your bicep or in your waist or in your legs. That way you know where it's coming off at. And then I also go over like for me, I would be like, you got to cut it down to 1 Pepsi a day. We're going to do that for a month till you come back or talk to me next. And then we're going to go to every other day. And then I also put in, we talk about the macronutrients, which is your protein, your carbs, and your fats. We don't go much more into that. I don't want you to have information overload. You're starting with the building blocks. And the biggest thing that we push, get more protein in your diet and get a little less carbs. You're kind of switching those two out. I do not limit on fruits and vegetables. You know, be like, well, grapes and watermelon have so much sugar in them. But how often are you eating those versus a bag of
exactly.
chips?
It's true.
Go eat those grapes. Go eat the
there's
watermelon.
not a list of weird exotic words that I can't pronounce in an apple.
That's right. It's just an apple.
Yeah.
So that's my weight loss program. And then as you progress, we increase the physical activity. We go over some basics of I like to talk a lot about opposing muscle groups. People tend to focus on doing those activities that they like. That's okay to do activities that you like, but you want to make sure you're not overdeveloping a certain muscle group and you're underdeveloping another because you can get an injury and it can also lead to an imbalance and also in how you do other tasks.
Gotcha.
And also other, kind of whole body exercises can be thrown off by that.
Yeah.
So I like to make sure that they understand what that means. What is an opposing muscle group? Well, it's your bicep and your tricep, your quads and your hamstrings, your chest and your upper back, your core and your lower back. That's why if your core is weak, you typically lower back hurts. But there's also some other things that can affect that too. We also go over continued stretching constantly. We have to do that because we just that helps to stabilize and keep everything into alignments and helps reduce some of the pain.
Awesome.
So we go over that the whole thing through and do with that as a nutshell for the obesity treatments. There's a couple other injections and supplement type of treatments that you can elect to go into. I call that health enhancers.
Yeah.
I do have a second business called Petrichor that I use for that. It tends to be more of those therapies that insurance isn't going to cover, and they tend to be more concierge type of medicine, health enhancers.
Gotcha.
So those are also available. Now, as far as the addiction treatment, again, I'm going to walk you through weaning off from your substances. If you're actively using, that doesn't mean you can't come talk to me. Please come talk to me. Let's go see what we can do. I don't want you coming in there being like, I want to get on a certain treatment for this. Whether it be you are using tobacco, whether it's alcohol, whether it's cocaine, methamphetamines, heroin, fentanyl, xylazine, all that type of stuff that's going in there. Also, some supplements. There's people that are using kratom for pain management. It's risky. So if you're using any of those other types of herbal or illicit types of substances, come see me. We'll see about getting you off of it.
Okay.
I offer Sublocade, Suboxone, Zubsolv, Vivitrol, naltrexone, in addition to the adjunctive medications that can help with your cravings,
Yeah.
that can help with the withdrawal as well. If you have been I guess everyone likes to use the term clean, but essentially you haven't been using, but yet you start to think of using, I'd much rather you come talk to me about getting on preventative medication like Suboxone or naltrexone before you go out and find somebody with some fentanyl that can kill you.
Yeah. Yeah. The dangers are
Yeah.
incredible.
There seems to be like, well, once you're off of it, you should never start it again. No, that's not the nature of addiction. Same thing with obesity. I used to be at my goal weight and something happened. I'm back up there again. So that Pepsi crept right back in.
Yep,
It sure
I know.
did. It found its way.
It has a way of being like
During-
an old friend
Yeah.
coming right back.
During a period of stress, probably what I started drinking Pepsi today because of that computer malfunction.
Yep, I
You
get
know?
it.
So we need to understand that just because someone has quit using drugs doesn't mean that they will go back. We know people, friends, family members that have not used alcohol for decades and all of a sudden they off the wagon again. I would much rather them come talk to me, say, hey, I really need a drink. Can you help me so I don't start drinking again? Or I haven't used in a really long time, but I'm going through a rough spot and I want to self-medicate and cope by using this drug. I'd much rather give you Suboxone than see you going out and getting fentanyl or going back into alcohol addiction.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of pushback from different types of medical professionals that that's not the right way to treat them, but I disagree that it is the right way to treat them, to keep them away from drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
So that's one of my treatments as far as addiction.
Okay.
Again, with everything that comes in there, I also do hormonal evaluations. People don't realize using opiates reduces their testosterone. It makes them feel even worse because their testosterone is dropping off. Or with obesity, maybe it's actually PCOS related. It may not be 100%, or really focused on diet. It may be your body that's doing that. We need to balance out some of these hormones and do an evaluation. So again, or if perhaps you're menopausal or you're going through testopause, which folks don't realize that men can also go through a similar syndrome that, women have menopause, men have testopause. We can evaluate and treat that too.
No
You didn't
idea.
know that. Yeah, your testosterone goes, reducing your testosterone go down and increases obesity. It increases your, all sorts of risk factors.
Wow.
And you can fix that. There's a fix for that.
Okay.
And then what I'm hoping with the community and with some of those resources I put out there for Garrett County is that with some of these folks that have issues with their bills, they're in poverty, they're obese, they're using drugs, they need those social supports. Essentially, I like to refer back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you don't have housing, you don't have transportation, you don't have food, you don't really care if you get health care or fix anything else.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can actually, you cope with those drugs or you cope with that eating disorder because you're not able to meet your basic needs. So going further in the future, I do have some other ideas to at least work with the community in both Garrett County and Allegheny County to work with trade development for these. I saw a statistic where there's 14% of our population of children or of adolescents, young adults from 16 to 19 are not employed and they're not in school. That is the target group for me.
Yeah.
I want to find those that population group. I want to be a mentor. I want to show them I had some cards stacked against me too. I mean, I had just turned 17 in my senior year of high school whenever I had Riley. And I was like, there was a good possibility I wasn't going to graduate, because I had to withdraw from school. But I'm proud to say I did and kept everything going. But that doesn't always work for this group. Or they just drop out of school because of different issues, or maybe there's home issues, that sort of thing. That's my age group where I want to try and provide them with educational opportunities, find them resources to get some of the training. Trades are on a decrease. We need to really push to get them skills, because eventually in about 10 to 20 years, their mindset's going to change and they're going to
Yeah.
realize I shoulda, woulda, coulda back in this time frame, and at least provide them those opportunities and reduce some of those issues they have.
Yeah.
So that's also in the works. I'm not just a healthcare type of, again, I told you, I went into nursing as a necessity. I had to make a job. I had to pay bills. And I just turned out I was good at it and I liked it. But there's a couple other things I like. So
Yeah.
I'm not just a business owner that is just 100%, I only do healthcare. I'm developing other types of businesses where I really want to focus on particularly that population group and
Yeah.
provide work opportunities, provide training opportunities. Actually, I just hired my first employee
Okay.
as a
Great.
coder and biller. And they actually, again, it's the same idea where there are barriers that she's facing. And I'm like, listen, you have skills. I've seen your skills. You just need to come in, help me out with some of my administrative and billing type things.
Yeah.
And I have gotten her the training, and then we have talked about whenever she is able that she can then develop and actually get a certification and an education in that. And if she wants to start her own business, that's fine by me.
Wow.
Incredible. I told her, I was like, I just got to be your number one client. Like, I come before anybody else.
Yeah,
but if
definitely.
you want to leave me and start your own business, that's good. I want to help people do those types of things within my ability, or at least provide them with the opportunity to at least use some of the resources. And I really hope to network with the other business leaders, because one of the things I've heard is, I have this person that's got this addiction issue and they miss work, or they can't do this. Well, I'll help you out. Meanwhile, I know that person's got a job, they're learning skills, and they're helping out with my community and making it better. So I think we need to do that. Particularly, Oakland has great resources. Grantsville has great resources. Some of these smaller, more remote areas is where we need to focus and bring in some of those economic opportunities, those skill development. Again, there's far reaches of rural areas where you're just a poor little rich girl with a car.
Yeah.
I'm still mad about that. I wish I could find them.
Yeah.
But, where if you don't have a car, you can't get anywhere. You're isolated.
Yes.
So we need to reach those people, and that's what I want to do as far as healthcare, but overall as part of the integrative and functional health part of my business.
Yes.
It's literally integrative and functional health, but it's also to another degree of I want to be able to put you in with the right resources to make it so that way you can have those basic needs met.
Yeah.
Transportation, food. I have heard from people, and people don't talk about it, where they don't have food, or they can't get food for a couple of days until their benefits kick in on their card. I remember playing those games whenever I was little. Riley always was taken care of, but there were times where I didn't eat.
I gotcha.
Or I would make sure he ate everything that in his belly was full, and then whatever was left was for me.
Gotcha.
And so I understand those types of things that they have to juggle. And really, we're in a very well-developed country. We shouldn't have this type of hunger issue or food problem. So that's one of the things I want to work on is really helping the Appalachian area around here build up and utilize the resources. While embracing it. My grandpapa, I know you had your after business hours there at the museum, the transportation museum.
Yep.
Did you go in the back stairwell where the still is, the whiskey still?
I did.
That's my great grandpappy's.
No way.
And he ended up,
cool.
That's what he sold during Prohibition, and he sent his 5 daughters to college. That was back when girls didn't go to school.
Yeah.
They were home, that sort of thing. So that's what my great grandfather did with that still. I actually have.
Very impressive because it's a prominently displayed too.
Yes, it is. It's very. It's just, he was. That's a bit radical for back then. The boys A couple of them were off in war. My grandpap was actually the one that had to work the farm. Meanwhile, his 5 sisters went to college, and they all learned different trades and were successful. So I guess my idea with my businesses and really with my background and things, I want people to enjoy the same success that I did. And there is a way. You have to work for it. You gotta make sure that you're there. You show up. And sometimes there's going to be issues like today with the computer. Well, I'm going to have to bob and weave and I'm working tonight. It looks like instead of through the day. But you got to do what you got to do, pay the bills and make sure everything's together. And if you need a little help, I'm a person. Even if you don't see me for healthcare, I would hope that if someone has a family member that needs help, or even if they're just looking for a general resource, I know a little bit about something, and I should be able to point you in a little bit of a direction.
Nice. Well, Jennifer, it's incredible to have you in the community offering services that, quite frankly, a lot of people are leaving the community to get. Maybe they're going out, into West Virginia or further into Maryland to find bigger population areas like Cumberland or Morgantown where they can get these services from specialists. So having what you are offering right here in Grantsville, it's in our backyard now. It's stuff that I think it's in the name, the holistic wellness, kind of a full encompassing look at how well you're doing. And it's nice that we can add to the great medical community we currently have. I think we're blessed as far as a rural community to have such access to great medical services. And with this, we're just going up and over the top. So really a fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. I understand you have another service available. Let's say I made a mistake and I put a ex-girlfriend's name on my lower back. How do I?
I
how
do.
do I get rid of
Yes.
that?
So sometimes we make decisions as young adults to maybe get a tattoo of somebody that we were just madly in love in, especially that fourth finger on the left hand.
Yeah.
That showcases your dying love. Or back in my day, it was tramp stamps. They were great. So if you happen to, particularly, I started this I'm not a tattoo shamer. I have tattoos, and I've had some artistic liberties taken with one of them.
Yeah.
And that's how I looked into tattoo removal. And I realized, I was like, this is something I can do, and there are no resources around here. And I know that although mistakes cannot be erased, I can erase hopefully almost all of your tattoo. You'll just have to live with, your memories. But you may not have to live with that physical reminder.
Wow.
Or if you were perhaps on a more serious note, sex traffickers, they label those that they traffic like cattle or like livestock. So if you need that erased, talk to me. We will work something out. We'll make sure that is gone.
Interesting.
Or if you happen to have taken and gotten tattoos on your hands, on your arms, parts of your face, certain face. I don't currently remove the makeup type of like with the eyebrows and things.
Okay.
They actually can turn like green or orange.
Oh, wow.
Nobody wants that. You have to, yeah.
Definitely
So. And that's just how that
Oompa
works.
Loompa
That's
there or
right.
something.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's some micro needling and some other treatments you can do for that. So again, I go get training for these types of treatments. Like I'm not just bringing in like and just frying people. That's not what I do. I do like whenever I worked at the federal, I'm like I do like to slice and dice as far as removing cysts and things, but I don't disfigure. So
Gotcha.
with that. I am doing training for the microneedling and things, and eventually I will be able to help you with those tattooed eyebrows or the tattooed lip liner. Tattooed eyeliner's gonna have to stay, or see a dermatologist. I'm not touching that.
Yes.
But there are some I can remove tattoos from folks. Now, again, can't give you 100%, guarantee, but I do use the top of the line type of machine that's currently available, and I can remove all colors of tattoos. So a lot of them only work on black.
Yeah.
You don't have the greatest effect with those lighter colors or the greens and the blues. Sometimes you can still have some residual there, but it won't actually look like a tattoo. It may just look like you have a dark spot or something.
Yeah, gotcha.
And the other thing too is if perhaps there was some artistic liberties taken on a part of a tattoo that you really like, I can remove part of it or even just fade it so you can have it reworked by a tattoo artist.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, it's not just 100% tattoo removal. I can also do the fading and things like that as well.
Excellent.
And there's some other technologies coming out with some radio frequency treatment and ultrasound. I'm waiting to see. I think the FDA did just approve a machine to do that because tattoo removal is painful. It's significantly more painful than getting the tattoo. As someone that has received tattoos and also had them, some fading going on, significantly more painful. And I'm not a torture type. I'm not that type of person. So I will give you some topical numbing cream, but just understand it's still going to be painful. So these other technologies that are coming out, they would not be painful. They may be a little bit warm. You may hear some ringing in your ears, but they're not the pain of a laser.
At least at the forefront.
Right.
Should be a painful. We'll see 10 years down the line.
So primarily, yes, a lot of the tattoo is more for cosmetic, but it's really part of that base that where I want to give people that are just down on their luck or they got dealt a certain cards. I want to give them something or offer a service to them that can help make it easier for them.
Nice. Okay.
So, and again, I'm not about, price gouging or things like that. You can go and look and see what it costs. I think the closest place is Pittsburgh. There may be one maybe in Hagerstown or I think it's Frederick actually is where there's one. And there used to be one in Uniontown, but they're not there anymore. So really just kind of.
So you're really offering a service that you have to really travel to get to.
Yes, and it's very expensive. They are multiple sessions. Yeah. But I work the numbers. I know where it's at. I'm not living high on the horse either. I live a very simple life. It's all I ask out of life. And I just want people understanding that I'm just like one of you. I just have some skills and I just want to use them to make the community better.
Well, and thankful to an entrepreneurial spirit, we can now take advantage of those skills here in the community and start sending people your way. Yeah.
And I also do Botox and I also do lip fillers. Again, those health enhancements, as I call them.
Okay.
So, particularly, imagine if you had been an addict for, say, 10, 15 years. You've gotten to where you have a job, you got a house, you got everything, and it's time for you to do something, where things are so good and you have extra, you got money in the bank, you're doing good in retirement-wise, you want to do something nice for yourself? That's a health enhancement moment. Yeah. Whether you want Botox, whether you want lip fillers. Maybe you just want to get, there are some different vitamins and peptide injections that can help with free radical reduction and anti-aging. You want to come in for something like that? We have that. Or if you want to do the sauna so that way you can have more relaxation, that's fine. And if anybody out there really wants to do the cold water therapy, I have that too, but I've tried it, not a fan.
Yeah. It's funny, the research in the positive impacts that saunas and cold therapy have, but it's definitely it looks great when you see people do it and they get out and they literally look better.
It is invigorating because you're just so thankful you're not freezing anymore. It really puts things in, it takes you out of the trees and you can actually look at the forest.
But it's certainly, you pay for it.
Yeah, it is not a comfortable experience.
Yeah, you're not in comfort, you're right.
But it does, there are proven health benefits. That's why athletes do that, is because it does reduce inflammation. And it does help people that have chronic inflammatory disorders. There's some evidence showing that it may actually benefit. And guess what? it is not that high tech or harmful. So,
Yeah. Just go sit in a room.
right. And so I'm also looking into more of those health enhancers. I'm not a fan of the cool sculpting. Frostbite, you don't really reverse whenever you do those types of weight loss treatments and things, especially for people that are really struggling with like just a problem area. Like they have done everything, they've lost their weight, they're at their goal weight, but they just have like these love handles that are hanging around, or they just can't get their bicep to be as defined as they want. There is a machine that I have been trialing on a few folks just to kind of get the results up and going, that helps to tighten the skin, helps to reduce the look of cellulite to an extent. Now, you have to understand with cellulite that those are actually bands that the fat cells come through, so the weight loss itself helps, but sometimes you just need that skin tightening to go with it. And also a little bit of radio frequency / low dose ultrasound waves to help break up that scar tissue to help improve the appearance of it.
Okay.
So I do have that as well. So I'll be posting some of those results later on.
Okay.
Yeah. As again, it's not like it doesn't work if you're not willing to do the diet, exercise, all that stuff. It's just not going to work.
It all works together.
Right. It all has to work together. So if you're looking to get a start, and some of these are approved through your insurance, absolutely. But understand these other treatments that are offered through Petrichor, more of the health enhancement type things, you'll have to see if that's something that you would like to look into and doing as far as that. You can always talk and consult with me.
So if someone were to come in and consult with you, can we start that process, or tell me that process A to Z? How do they become a patient? How do they contact you? Let's go over that.
So you can actually request. So I have on my websites, there is a link that you can click to schedule. You can call to schedule, but let's just say, everyone's like, oh, what is the best day? What is the best time? And you're like, I don't know. I mean, I can make whatever work. What do you got available? You can actually go online and see what's available and plug yourself in. That way it's at your convenience. You can put in your information. And I don't mind doing like a 10 or 15 minute consultation. Be like, hey, what are your issues? What are your goals? What do you expect to get out of your treatment? Like, some people, they just want to look good for a class reunion or a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
They're just looking for a short-term fix. There's other people who are looking for a long-term fix. Now, just so you know, people are looking for the short-term. I'm going to work on you to do the long-term.
Yeah.
Just because it's better for you in the end. So you can put same thing if you want to consult about menopause or your hormonal changes, low testosterone. You're just feeling blah, no motivation. You can just pop on, we can talk, we can see what's going on, and then we can go over options and what it looks like for you. And if you're interested, we'll schedule a full-on face-to-face. Like I said, I like that face-to-face evaluation first, just because I can tell a lot more about a person. I mean, our healthcare is moving more towards, there's a term for it, but other than telehealth, but they're moving more into these types of ways where you can hook yourself up to a blood pressure machine and a pulse ox and thermometer, and it will send that data to me remotely.
Wow.
Almost like a remote health station. I think maybe that's what it's called, like a remote health station. And then I have your physical vital signs there to at least see how you look and feel for like maybe a blood pressure check or something simple like that.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm just looking to see if your numbers are going down. It's not like a full-on med review. But our healthcare is kind of going that way to make, again, the convenience, or people have children or people that work. You don't have time to be driving. For me, I always joke around like it's an hour for me to get to the grocery store, like a significant one.
Yeah.
No matter which direction I go, it's an hour.
Yeah.
Not everyone has that ability to just take that time off and do it. So typically, I will require that one first in-person visit. And then after that, we can talk telehealth options, or if you feel more comfortable, you can come into the office. As far as weight loss, you doing self-monitoring at home and we talking about the plan and maybe coming in and being seen every 2 or 3 months works, or you can come in every month and we can use the terrible awful, and really see those gains, whichever you choose to do. But understand both options are available,
Gotcha.
to folks depending on what they like. I do a mixed hybrid of healthcare, but I do require at least see them once a year, at least for a good wellness physical, making sure we're addressing all the problems. It's like I said, I'm not a specialty care. I am full function primary care, but I can throw on a few extra specialty type services.
It's rare that I don't have much to say
Oh,
in these
good.
podcasts, and I think it's been incredible. Have you done podcasts before?
I so I ended up getting on this like, well, why'd you start your own business? I should have did that a long time ago. I'm not a go with the flow type girl.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought I got along with people, but no, I have strong opinions on how things are, and I don't like waste, and I don't like um, ineffective processes. Which,
Yeah.
why am I in healthcare? So what I had found, I was actually listening to a lot of self-help type podcasts. So I came across one, and I actually did a pod. He hasn't posted it yet, but he essentially did a consult with me as far as my business plan,
Okay.
and what services to offer. I'm not 100% following his advice, but I at least got some information, and that's
Nice.
kind of how.
Well, you certainly have a vision, which is
Yes.
fantastic.
Mhm.
And it's very apparent. You know, you can tell you're passionate and you're knowledgeable and you're an expert in the fields that you're offering here. And that you don't know, you know how to refer someone in the right direction, and you know how to work well within your medical system. So that is fantastic
Mhm.
to know that your services are here and available in our community. I'm excited to start sending people your way, possibly even coming in myself to see what
All
you've got
right.
going on. You know, maybe I want to come try out this sauna,
Oh,
or maybe I'll
it's
try the cold
you
plunge. You
can't
know,
stay
it's
in it for long. I mean, it gets hot, and that's one of the other reasons too with the sauna. There are certain people that should not go in a sauna. So I do want to talk with someone and see them before you. You know, if you have significant health related issues, probably sauna's not a good idea for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
No.
Well, it's good
Um,
to have that you'll have that conversation with someone, so they're not
right.
trying something that's not necessarily a fad.
Hmm.
This is proven stuff, but so that they're not jumping into something before they're ready.
Right. Or something they don't realize is harmful.
Exactly.
And making sure that, I mean, I had talked to one of the Grantsville business owners, and he was saying how, he would just check a blood pressure just before he does his treatment. And he was like, it'll be elevated. And he's like, they don't have primary care. And I'm like, what? It's like, how do people not have that access?
Yeah.
So that's, you know, again, if you don't have insurance or do have insurance, come see me. I do walk-in appointments. I just want to make sure. Again, Garrett County has so many resources for our population to really excel and be a model community for the whole U.S. I always called it a hallmark town. And it really, especially with some of these, I've always said Oakland is a hallmark town. You can film a movie and it will look like Hallmark during some of these times a year.
Excellent. Excellent.
But
We need to start sending paychecks your way.
that's right. That's right. But there's just these small little pockets that I feel we could be doing better at, and that's my goal.
Excellent.
And eventually, maybe, in my lifetime or before I retire, these little pockets will be better, and I'll move on to a different one. Like I said, jack of all trades, master of none. Know a little bit of something about something, enough to get me in trouble, as I say. But that, healthcare just isn't the only focus I have. I have other business ideas pertaining to agriculture, pertaining to helping our farmers, making more of a efficient return on some of their livestock efforts. I might as well just say I like to spin wool. As I was mentioning about the the whiskey still that my great grandfather, I have my great grandmother's spinning wheel
Oh wow.
that I'm redoing along with some of the combs to comb out the wool.
Yeah.
That was big back in World War One and Two. Whenever World War One, that is what you did. You spun the wool and you made socks for the soldiers. That was a big thing that you did for the war effort. So I'm rehabbing that, and I hope to either give it back to my cousin or with his permission put it into next to Grandpap still, and it can just be a representation of how life was back in World War
Yeah.
One.
Excellent.
And so part of working with the textiles, I want to work with the hemp community and with the llama and sheep communities to do something with their fleece and their fibers, um, and turn it into a textile. Again, this is a perfect business type idea for someone that's wants to learn a skill, or just needs something to do that's not overly physically demanding.
Hmm.
If someone has some back issues or perhaps some shoulder issues, it's not going to be as horrible as maybe some other jobs that they could get.
Yeah.
Based on some of, if they don't have education or it's limited education, and at least get them an income coming in and helping them with bettering their situation, but also helping the farmers being able to get more out of their livestock.
Yeah.
Because I feel that farming is becoming almost a leisure activity. We're not relying on it like we used to. And I think that is a wrong way to go
Hmm.
for America.
Definitely.
That is a massive mistake. So we, need to make sure that we keep our farmers in business.
Definitely.
We need to make sure that they are getting the maximum amount out of what they're doing, either, whether it's from planting their fields or whether it's from the animal husbandry and things that they're doing with that. So I would really like to look into getting like a wool mill, or doing some other things, because flax, which linen is made from, and hemp fiber, which that used to be what we used for clothing back in the colonial era. And those types of things are coming back. We're starting to go more towards the natural, and I feel that Garrett County is this whole Appalachian area is perfect for that, because
Right.
it's in our roots, really. We're bringing a lot of older types of activities back, and I feel that we need to understand that simpler is better. Get rid of the processed foods. Let's get rid of all the chemicals as well, and some, as much as we can. There's some things that you need. Same thing with vaccines. Polio is a real thing. It's coming back. Please get that.
Yeah.
Pertussis is a real thing. Get your tetanus vaccine, because it has the pertussis in it as well. You don't need to step on a rusty nail. Just get one every 10 years. Because older adults are also susceptible to whooping cough and pertussis. But in the meanwhile, also make sure you're doing clean living. We've seen what, and in our local communities, how weed killer is causing all sorts of issues with health. So, going more natural ways to natural farming type of ideas, which I've talked with some of my friends, not everyone's on board with that, but
Yeah.
just one step at a time, and making sure that regardless, our farmers are supported and we're able to maximize their benefits that they're getting out of their farms, because really the large farms are disappearing. I mean, I think we only have one dairy farm left in the county? Like one or two dairy farms? They used to be everywhere.
Yeah, we certainly have less. I'm not exactly sure of the right
Yeah.
number now. I actually, obviously our agriculture field is a big part of who we are in Garrett County.
Mhm.
It drives a lot of our economy. As I said earlier, the industry produces around 30 million per year. It's
Mhm.
certainly alive and well in Garrett County, and we put a lot of resources behind them to support them. We actually have a specific advocate. So while I see all of our businesses,
Mhm.
I have a counterpart. Her name is Melissa Bolliard. She's our agriculture business development specialist, and she sees all of our farmers
Mhm.
and helps them with their businesses and supporting them and ensuring they have the resources they need to thrive in the
Mhm.
community, so that they have that person behind them that can assist them with our programs, and so on. So certainly a great need in our community. It's good that you have a focus and an understanding of that industry. And I think if we have entrepreneurs like yourself we have a lot of great business owners in our community that are striving to make
Mhm.
the overall community better place to live for everyone. And I think if we continue along that path, it's why Garrett County sets a standard.
Mhm.
I agree entirely with you. We set a standard for living that I think if a lot of people looked on, we see multiple examples of where people in Garrett County are the example for surrounding not just regionally but even across the nation in the way we do things and we come together. We're used to working. I think that's an Appalachian normal. You're
Mhm.
you're used to working with less,
Yes.
so you make things work in ways that are really out of the box. There's no one way to get something done. You have to get it done. There's no excuses not to, which is a great testament to the quality of people that have grown up here and that learn to make Garrett County home. It's certainly something that has been adopted across the board. And we see examples of it with great business owners and businesses like yours. I really want to thank you for coming in here on the program and sharing all of this. Like I said, we're really happy to start sending people your way. I'm going to get your contact information here. Let's have you give us your number, give us your address, give us your social media and your website so that people that want to learn more and people that are looking to become a patient or start utilizing your services can get a hold of you.
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is www.moongladeintegrative.com.
Okay.
Again, right there on the front page, if you scroll to the bottom, you'll see a schedule now. Just click on that. It'll bring you up to the self-scheduling app that's associated with my electronic health system. And you can self-schedule, put in an appointment request, and then it comes to me and I can then approve it, and then you're set up to go. Um, you can call me at 301-697-3334. I think it's always great to have a fax number out there because I just can't seem to find anybody's whenever I need it. But it's 909-729-3093 if perhaps that's your thing and you know.
And just so
Um,
everyone that's listening knows, she knew that off the top of her head.
yeah.
That's how important it is to her and to you now.
Yes.
So, again, can I get that contact information one more time
Sure.
so anyone that's listening can reach out?
Yeah. It's www.moongladeintegrative.com. Phone number is 301-697-3334, and you can call and you can text. There's no real limits on that. We try to be as accessible as we can based on whatever mode of communication works for you.
Okay.
And then if you needed to get a hold of me by fax, it is 909-729-3093. And then by email, you just do Jen, but it's JENN at moongladeintegrative.com. And if you go to the website, you can just skip any type of the phone calls or texting, and you can self-schedule from your mobile device, from your computer, whichever's easiest to you.
Nice.
I've tried them all, make sure they work. You
Good,
can
good.
actually scroll down to there. It'll bring you up to, again, the documentation system that I use, and you can self-schedule in there. And then I will respond
Excellent.
and send you back a confirmation. They'll also remind you, you'll get reminders a couple of days out and then also the day before of your appointment. So those automatic reminders go out.
Okay. Now, do you have any social media presence that someone can take advantage of?
I am on Facebook.
Okay.
Again, it's under Moonglade Integrative. And if you were interested in Petrichor, it is actually assigned as a group to that main account, where you can also check out some of those life enhancement type of services that I offer. Petrichor, you can also visit that at www.petrichor, and that is PETRICHOR, and then FAM.com. So petrichorfam.com is the website that goes over a little bit more in depth for the laser tattoo removal, sauna, and IV therapies, and the vitamin types of
Awesome.
additional types of health enhancement that you can do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Jen.
You're welcome.
Incredible show. I've learned a lot here. I think I've got 5 or 6 agencies we're going to be tagging in this so that they so that they can hear your story. I mean, it is incredible what you've shared today, and I'm really happy that we've had you in here to talk about Moonglade Integrative Petrichor. and of course, just yourself. You're a fantastic person, well-rounded individual, and we're happy to have you in our community. Thanks so much for what you're doing. Again, folks, this is Jennifer Resh with us from Moonglade Integrative. Make sure you're checking her out on all of her social media, her website, her phone numbers, or just stop on in to her shop there at the Grantsville Plaza. I like to say the whole plaza is shaped like an L. She's on the inside of the L. Find her there. So thanks again, folks, for listening to the Business B.E.A.R podcast. We appreciate having you along today. Be sure to follow us at our Garrett County, Maryland Department of Business Development Facebook page, our website. We have a LinkedIn, we have a Twitter or X, and we do have an Instagram. So follow us along on your favorite social media platform or follow us along on our website to learn more and, of course, know when the latest episode of the Business B.E.A.R podcast drops. We look forward to hearing more from you. If you want to be featured, give us a call, 301-334-7281, or email me at cnorman@garrettcountymd.gov. Again, folks, my name is Connor Norman, your business development specialist. It's been another episode of the Business B.E.A.R podcast, and we'll see you all on the other side.